Hello, my darlings, and welcome back to the channel. For those of you who are new here, my name is Ash, and this is the space where we get to journey this beautiful thing called life together. So grab a cozy seat, get something warm to drink, because today we're diving into what it feels like to have a bad body day and how we can move through it with grace, compassion, and practicality. Some days are like big girl panty days where loud music, confident outfits, and glasses of wine shoot our productivity through the roof. And other days are sad girl days where we take a little extra time in bed, have a little bit longer of a hot shower, burn candles, and enjoy some hot tea. And both kinds of days are central to life. But it's okay to honor the days that don't feel quite right. And that's what today's chat is all about. The kind of day where your clothes don't fit the way you like, where your mind, body, and energy seems to be working against you. I've gathered some practical tips and gentle strategies for when we have bad body days. The first step is to pause and acknowledge that we're having a tough day. Sometimes we push these emotions away and try to go about the day like normal, or overpacking our schedules. We're ignoring that our body is trying to tell us something kind of obvious. When we do this, though, the sensations and the feelings that we are feeling typically will come back stronger. They don't dissipate. Instead, when you acknowledge that you're having a bad body day, take a deep breath and remind yourself that not every day has to be productive, has to be over the top energetic, or has to leave you feeling like you're on top of the world. Create a ritual for these moments. Light a specific candle that you love. Put on calming music. Brew your favorite cup of tea. These small acts can signal your brain that you're intentionally creating space for your emotional and body sensations that are already trying to come through. Very recently, I had a day where I just could not shake the heaviness that I felt in my body. Instead of forcing myself to push through, I called a timeout. I brewed my favorite cup of cinnamon tea, which I'm actually enjoying right now, sat in my favorite chair, and gave myself 15 minutes to just be still without distractions. By the end, the simple act of just being present and pausing made everything else that was going on feel way less overstimulating and overwhelming. Take a moment to stop and tune into your body. Where are you holding any tension? Is it in your chest, in your jaw, in your stomach? I tend to hold a great deal of tension in my neck, my shoulders, and ironically, my hamstrings, the backs of my thighs. Where you feel that tension, place your hand on that area, on that space, and take a deep inhale and focusing your attention on that space. Maybe you can even close your eyes. Let's take the next breath together, inhaling and focusing our attention on that area. Exhaling and still paying attention to where that tension is, but maybe noticing if any of that tension or those muscles start to relax. If not, pause the video and do the exercise a couple more times and just be curious about what happens. The simple act of noticing can help you feel more connected and more grounded. Try a body scan meditation, or maybe you can take it one step further and engage certain muscle groups. For instance, clench your fists for 5 seconds, and then when you release, focus on letting go. Movement like shaking your arms or maybe just doing some light, gentle stretches can also help with releasing pent-up energy. On particularly rough days, I will unroll my yoga mat and just do a couple of my favorite yoga poses. And usually it's a very slow flow for me. Sometimes I'm just sitting in child's pose, or I'm laying in Shavasana. It helps me to reconnect with my body in a non-judgmental way. Now that your body feels a little bit more calm, let's try to put words or try to articulate what it is that we're feeling. Is it sadness, frustration, overwhelm, shame? If you're needing a little help to figure out what these emotions are, here's a wheel of emotions that I found by just typing into Google. Naming the emotion can take some of its power away and make it easier to address. Remember, emotions are just visitors. They come and they go. Take a minute to write down whatever emotion it is that you're feeling, and then after it, write, and that's okay. For example, you can write down, I'm feeling annoyed, and that's okay. You can even crumple it up after you have finished writing it as a physical act of releasing whatever that emotion is. Probably about a month ago, I had a string of days where I just continually felt overwhelmed and I couldn't pinpoint what the cause was. So I did a similar exercise to this. I wrote down everything that I was feeling, everything from feeling anxious energy to fatigue to feeling useless. And then when I had gotten everything out on the paper, I tore it up into ridiculously small pieces. And oddly enough, I felt so much better afterward. Maybe instead of ripping up all of your emotions, you can take a marker or a Sharpie and you can just color all over the words as a way to kind of release them too. The world is your oyster in this context. Get creative. What does your body signify that you need to do in order to identify and then sort of eliminate or physically get rid of on this paper? In moments like this, it's so easy to spiral into self-criticism, which can then activate a whole host of other perceptions, ideas, reactions, and sensations. Gently remind yourself if you notice, and when you notice that you're starting to spiral, that you are safe and that all emotions eventually pass. You've made it through tough days before, and you absolutely will again. Create a safe space corner in your house or play a comforting playlist if you're on the go. My go-to is always the soundtracks to my favorite movies. You can also locate a place in your neighborhood that tends to bring you back to center, even if you're not really sure why. Retreating to these spaces can signify to your body and your mind and your spirit that you are okay and that you are in a safe place. Oftentimes, big emotions are carrying messages with them. Maybe it's a call for rest or for self-awareness or for setting a boundary. Whatever it is, listen with curiosity instead of judgment. Take a walk and engage with that feeling by asking what your body might be needing, and then pay attention to how your body responds. Sometimes physical activity can help you process emotions in ways that sitting still just can't. And you know, I'm always a fan of journaling. And so you can journal using prompts like, what is my discomfort or this tension I'm feeling trying to communicate to me? What am I craving in my life emotionally, physically, or spiritually? A few weeks ago, I shared with you guys that I had the beautiful opportunity to go to Germany to visit friends. And on my last night there, when I had a flight the next morning, I noticed that I was so anxious that I couldn't fall asleep. And I'm not typically an anxious flyer, and so I was super confused as to why this was happening. It turns out that anxiety was trying to warn me that my expectations of how the following day, how my traveling plans were going to go, they didn't go as smoothly as I had anticipated. And so now, anytime I feel anxiety for something that doesn't quite make sense, I realize that it's my somewhere within my body, either my emotions or mental or the energetic level, is just trying to warn me that whatever expectations I have, to release them and to let them go, because everything is not going to go as I'm thinking it's going to. So the next time you notice that your body is feeling a certain kind of way, or you're just acknowledging that you're having a tough day, decide how you want to cope and how you want to act. That actually doesn't mean that you need to fix anything at all. It could be the act of choosing to wear your comfiest clothes, taking a hot shower, or putting on that playlist we talked about earlier. Some days are for extra care and comfort and rest, and other days are those bad bitty days where you're tackling life head on and it feels right. Both are important, both are valid, and don't be afraid or hesitant to listen to what your body is telling you that you need. We live in a culture where if you're not being productive, then you're being wasteful or lazy, and that simply is not the case. If you're feeling stuck, then do something kind of unusual, like laying on the floor with your legs up the wall and just stare at the ceiling for a couple of minutes. It's oddly grounding. Or you can, if you're wanting to feel more productive, start small by cleaning one area of your house, whether it's one shelf on your bookshelf or your nightstand. The act of organizing can bring a sense of calm and control. On a particularly low day, I will put on my coziest robe, make pancakes for dinner, and then will completely indulge in nostalgic movies from my childhood. It didn't solve anything at all, but it made me feel deeply, deeply cared for. Finally, when you feel ready, let the emotion go in a way that feels safe and right for you. Maybe that's taking a moment to reflect or going for a bike ride, even just saying out loud, I release this insert feeling. Or try a burning ritual, which is something I talked about more deeply in my regret reset video. Trust that you've given it the attention that it needed, and now it's time to move forward. Bad body days, like any tough moments, are a part of life. They don't define you and they don't diminish your worth either. These are the moments that we have to show ourselves patience and care, to honor our needs, and to practice compassion towards a body that carries us through life. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. And it's okay to have days where you need a little extra time, space, or comfort. Be gentle with yourself. Celebrate the small wins. And remember that brighter days are ahead. Don't forget that you've made yourself. All your kindness, all your brilliance, all your dedication, all your courage. Thank you for spending time with me today and for showing up for yourself in the ways that you needed. If you have a friend who's struggling with a bad body day, maybe share what you've learned with them. And maybe together you guys can have a sad girl day together with compassion and gentleness and intention. Because you, my darling, are worthy of living a full, beautiful life. And until next time, I'm holding you in the light.